Okay guys, welcome to our touch tank feeding for today. First of all, we're sorry again that you guys can't be here to join us for our regular feedings, but we like to be able to do it for you at home. So thank you for tuning in. So usually on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this time we have our touch tank horseshoe crab feeding. So I'm going to be doing that today. First, my name is Patricia and I'm the aquarium curator. So if you want to closer, I'll show you what I have to feed them. It may look kind of funky, but what I have is gel diet, which is an omnivore gel diet. Comes in powder form, and you make it by adding boiling water, and you can cut it up into whatever size you'd like. It's very nutritious, full of vitamins and minerals for the animals. And then this stuff, anyone can guess, is actually chopped up oyster meat. We try and vary their diet as much as we can a little bit, but also stick to their natural feeding. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a horseshoe crab very gently, like so. So here is a typical full-grown horseshoe crab. Horseshoe crabs are actually more related to spiders and scorpions than to a true crab. You've got two true eyes here in the front, a little there, and then all along the bottom are eye spots. Now this guy might look a little wonky, but he's got a slipper shell friend here. Kind of not necessarily a parasite. They don't do anything to them. They just kind of hitch on for a ride and maybe eat some algae off of their shell. So it's more symbiotic. He's got this long tail, which is a common misconception. People upon first glance of a horseshoe crab think it's a stingray, but actually the tail is not venomous. It's actually harmless unless you were to purposely do something, but it is to help them in their locomotion. They use it to flip themselves over. So I'm gonna flip our guy over here, and we've got a male horseshoe crab. The way I can tell that is he's got these large kind of boxing glove looking pinchers in the front, and you can see he's not really trying to pinch me or anything. He's pushing me away. He's actually used to this behavior, knows he's gonna get fed. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the food in the mouth here, which is right in the center, and he's gonna work it down and devour it. Now if you look at the rest of him, he's got several sets of legs. You can see how this might look like actually a scorpion if you were to first look at it. And then these are his gills in the back. He's got paired book flap gills because they look like the pages of a book. So let's give him an oyster now since he looks like he's done.
Patricia, we have a special guest. We have Sarah Van Bavel watching. She's a past VLM keeper.
Hi,
now
Sarah.
living in Charleston. So welcome to our feed.
All right, so there's one of our horseshoe crabs. And also, if you guys have any questions, feel free to pipe on in. I'm gonna gently put this guy back and get the next one. You guys might see some fish swimming around in here, pecking at my hand and so forth. These are sheepshead minnow. They're actually quite a resilient little fish. They live in marsh ponds, but they can also be found in puddles and whatnot sometimes. And they're actually really quite beautiful little animals. I don't know if you can see, he's in my hand. So here's our other horseshoe crab. I'll go ahead and feed this guy as well. So for those of you who don't know, actually, horseshoe crabs are really cool animals. They don't get a lot of attention, but they're considered living fossils. They've been unchanged for over 250 million years. Horseshoe crabs can live up to about 20 years of age. They don't get sexually mature until around 9 or so, which is pretty late. They are in oceans all over. We find them here in the Atlantic, but they congregate in certain areas for breeding, and a big popular one is up in the shores of Delaware, where there'll be mass congregations of horseshoe crabs breeding. Oh, he's moving his gill. What are we doing? So I'll put this guy down. He's had his 2 pieces.
We have a very sweet comment that says, "Hi, I'm Levi and I'm 6. I'm using my mom's phone. I go there all the time, but can't go right now because of the virus." Well, we're very sorry you can't join us today, but we hope you're enjoying this video.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. I have a very excited spider crab here that I'll also give some food to. Spider crabs are also called decorator crabs. And what they do, I'm gonna pull them out. Here's our spider crab. They're also called decorator crabs because what they do is they will find vegetation and shells and stuff in their surrounding area, use their saliva to stick it to their back and decorate themselves, really just to blend in with their environment. He is not enjoying me holding him right now, so I'm going to put it back, but I will give him a little piece of food. Get it. Frantic. There's another one here that I'm going to give some food to. Now, spider crabs look a lot like
91 to 41.
All right. Look a lot like your common king crabs that you would eat. They are from Japan, and they are related. We have a hermit crab here. Oh, his food just got stolen by a mummy chug. Sorry, buddy. We'll pull him out. Here's one of our hermit crabs. This is a striped hermit crab. Now, hermit crabs are different from a lot of other crabs because they rely on an outside shell as their kind of apartment that they carry around. So as you see him coming out, his back area back here is actually soft, and this all up here is hard. So he needs to find a shell to wrap his little body around inside and carry it around on his back for his protection. Now, these are not the same as the hermit crabs you would get from like a beach shop. Those are land-dwelling hermit crabs. These live solely underwater. You might also see them out of the water on rockwork at low tide, for example, but they're perfectly fine and they'll find their way back into the water. So another example of our touch tank animals here, we have sea stars. Sea stars, not starfish, because sea stars are not fish. They are actually invertebrates. They have no spine. They're also from the group echinoderm, and they have this classic star shape. And if you were to flip it over, he's got thousands of little tube feet all along each leg that help move them around and attach to things. Like this one here is attached to the wall. So this guy has his mouth in the middle of the star, and they will they're detritivores but also eat
Dang it. Yep. Going again.
The clams are live, so I'm going to dip them up now to make it a little easier for the sea stars to get to when they want to. Again, if you guys still have any more questions, just keep bringing it on, but I'm just going to keep feeding our horseshoe crabs here.
And it looks like we had a small interruption in connection, so if someone is still watching, could you please give us a comment so we can make sure that we are back on live? Which you can do too.
Can they pinch? They can pinch. They can pinch, but it doesn't really hurt all that bad. He's pinching my finger right now, and it's not doing anything. He's not really trying that hard. And I say he because it is yet another male with these boxing gloves. And also, on a side note, males are generally smaller. Females get much larger, and the males will attach themselves to the back of the female and kind of trail along with her in order to mate.
All right, Patricia, you have a question. First of all, it looks like we're back on live, so that's great. Caitlin Cook says, what did you say the starfish eat?
I said that the sea stars, not starfish, the sea stars eat, we feed them clams, but they can also graze along the bottom for different tiny invertebrates or algae or whatever. It depends on the species, but these eat clams and oysters and mussels. So what I'm going to do now is give you guys a little sneak peek of the horseshoe crab. Yeah, so like I said before, the horseshoe crab male has the boxing glove Pinchers in the very front. I'm going to be very gentle here. These, so that's the easiest way to tell the male from the female. This is your male. The female would just have another set of these regular clippers in the front. And also females are generally larger so that the male can grasp a hold and follow along with her while they try to mate. So I'm actually giving you guys a sneak peek. It may look like I'm just digging through the sand, which I am. Sand needs to be stirred so that it doesn't go anoxic, meaning it traps oxygen in the bottom and gets kind of stinky. So if you ever go to the beach and kind of dig up some black, what looks like black sand, that's going to be typically your anoxic sand. It might smell a little sulfury. But I am, believe it or not, looking for someone. So the crabs, at least the spider crabs and horseshoe crabs, like to bury, like this guy. This is one of our juvenile horseshoe crabs. We actually were lucky enough to acquire these guys from a friend of ours up at the National Aquarium in Baltimore. So thank you guys for that. They're doing really well. We have 4, and these are juveniles. So far I'd like to say that they're female, but it's possible that they're too young to tell because there's no boxing glove there. These guys have not quite yet gotten used to being hand-fed. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. So it looks like this one might like it.
Shannon Craig Murphy said, can we see the starfish eat their food?
I would love to be able to show you that. If you do want to look at the sea star right now, however, he is on the move. But the sea stars only feed about once a week when we get the live clams in. We order our live clams from our seafood supplier, Sam Rust, out of Hampton, and they're farmed out of the eastern shore. And they pretty much devour their clams immediately. So unfortunately, we never really get to see them feed. But you'd see, this guy's actually moving out quite a bit. Do we have any other questions or comments?
We have a question from Caitlin Burgess Cook. Is this tank freshwater or saltwater animals?
Okay, this is all saltwater animals. These guys you'll find at the beach right around here. If you look even back here, we've got our juvenile horseshoe crab burying back in the sand. They're done. He's done. Not enough. Youngins do really like to just bury and hide to keep away from predation. Now the only real prey items for the horseshoe crab is when they're at their larval or egg stage, where birds and stuff will eat them. But otherwise, as adults, they're really only predators humans. So if there's no other questions,
We do have one more.
One more? Okay.
Emma, who is 8 years old, says, what happens if a starfish's leg breaks off?
Oh, that's a very good question. Actually, when a sea star loses its leg, a number of things can happen. Let me go back to the sea star. So the center of the sea star has what's called like a ring of nerves, kind of like our brain, but it's in a ring. Now, if this leg were to break off here and get a chunk of that ring of nerves, this one will grow its leg back. This leg will grow 4 more legs to make another sea star. So it's kind of like asexual reproduction. However, if it were to break off somewhere in the middle without the ring of nerves, that piece of leg will just die off, but the rest of the leg will likely probably grow back. So that was a great question.
We got another sea star question. Tell the difference between a male and female. Is there a way to tell?
There's not externally, it is internal. We can kind of tell sometimes because we'll say do a water change. The water temperature will be warmer and the male will spout out of his little spout here on the top some spermatophores. But the female holds eggs inside, so you really can't tell unless you really cut it in.
All right, we got time for one more question. And the question is, it's a very good one, do horseshoe crabs have blue blood? We read that somewhere.
I read that somewhere. They do have blue blood. They have a copper-based blood that actually I'll show you right now. But their copper-based blood contains a thing called limulus amoebocyte isite, and I don't think I ever pronounced that well at all. But it is used to detect bacterial toxins in intravenous solutions and drugs and medical devices. So it is actually very important in our medical technology moving forward. So horseshoe crab blood is often harvested and studied, but then also the horseshoe crabs are put back into their environment unharmed so they can produce more blood. It's as if you were to donate blood to the hospital.